Hey everyone, Namaste, and thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to talk about the Mughal Maratha Wars, also known as the Deccan Wars. So, why did we choose this war? Well, India is what it is because of these battles, because of this war. Without this war, I'm pretty sure our currency wouldn't have the Sun Temple at Konark or the Supa of Sanchi. Heck, without this battle, I'm pretty sure our navy wouldn't even have its motto called Shamvaruna. And the funny thing is, nobody ever talks about it. And this kinda sucks. Why? Well, because the Mughal Maratha Wars are epic. They got everything you need from a fantasy historical series. Great kings, greater generals, last stands, ultimate sacrifice, and finally a David versus Goliath style victory. Before we start, let's talk about the basics. What were the wars about? Well, they were between two key players, the Mughals, who were the predominant ruling powers of the subcontinent, and the Maratha kingdom that carved its way within the coastal ranges of Konkan and the parts of Maharashtra state. By 1680, under the leadership of Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, the Marathas were the biggest political power in the Deccan region. He clawed a kingdom, a Swaraj, out of the Mughal behemoth, a beacon of Hindu self-rule that proved to the other kings that yes, you too can defeat the invaders. But his death in 1680 had left a void. Surrounded by vast, ever-hungry Mughal empire, the fledgling Maratha confederacy felt small. Very small. Now imagine Aurangzeb. The man didn't like Shivaji. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. He hated him. Completely. He dreamed of conquering the Deccan, but Shivaji was his biggest hurdle. For him, the Chhatrapati's audacity had been an intolerable prickle at his side. In the Mughal eyes, you can almost hear it. Shivaji and Marathas were nothing more than ambitious rebels, disturbing a divinely ordained Mughal order. This wasn't just about territory, it was about legitimacy, about who held the right to rule over Hindustan. And now comes Sambhaji Maharaj. He inherited not just a kingdom, but a legacy. You can almost feel the weight of expectations when you read the accounts of that era. Whispers of Maratha courts as Sambhaji took reign. People doubted him. They were uncertain. Will he be the Chhatrapati that they deserve? Luckily for them, and luckily for all of us, Sambhaji proved all of them wrong. He was not just a caretaker of his father's dream, he had the same spirit, courage, and tenacity. He quickly showed that he wouldn't just defend what his father had built, he would stand defiant in the face of Aurangzeb's looming shadow. And so the stage was set. The clash was inevitable. The ambition of one emperor determined to paint the map of India in the Mughal colors versus the fierce pride of a people determined to rule themselves. The year is 1681. Sambhaji is the crowned king of the Maratha kingdom, and things are looking up. Marathas' relentless guerrilla assault is keeping the enemies at bay, while the Ahmednagar and other sultanates are busy fending off the Mughals. This is when a strange man enters the court. He was Prince Muhammad Akbar, son of Aurangzeb. To say that the father and son had a history would be an understatement. The young prince had rebelled against the Alamgir, but the plan had failed, he lost the war, and was now looking to find refuge in the Maratha court. Sambhaji, ever the noble king, offered asylum to the young prince. But in a strange twist of fate, no one discusses why. Akbar was a failed upstart, and no one supported him. While the Marathas were already embroiled in a struggle against the Mughals, why risk having a potential enemy in your court? Well, if any one of you know the answer, feel free to share in the comments. I'd love to take a dig at them. Anyway, where were we? Yeah. So soon enough, Aurangzeb started his march to the Deccan. His war camp was enormous. Over 500,000 soldiers, including camp followers, walked with him. I'm sorry, but if you have 500,000 soldiers, then that's not an army. That's a movable city. By the end of 1681, Alamgir was already in Aurangabad, now called Sambhaji Nagar, and this would be the headquarters for years to come. As the shadow of Mughal might loomed over the Maratha heartland, all who lived in the Deccan realized that this was not going to be any ordinary battle. Aurangzeb's plan was simple. He will divide his army into two, one in the north while the other will attack from the south. He planned to go for an all-out pincer maneuver. On paper, the plan was simple and effective. But luckily, Sambhaji's plan was even simpler. If the enemy was too strong, the Marathas wouldn't engage. Instead, they would ambush the Mughal logistics. They would loot supply convoys, capture grain depot, and take out foraging parties. But when the Marathas did have any advantage, be it numerical or geographical or tactical, they'd go all in. They'd attack and retreat even before the Mughals knew what hit them. This was going to be an asymmetric war in its full glory. Aurangzeb tried diplomacy, asking the Portuguese to open their ports for his ships. When the news reached Sambhaji, he raided the Portuguese, letting them know that his forces were a lot closer than Aurangzeb's. Meanwhile, one of the Mughal generals named Hussain Ali Khan attacked the northern Konkan region, which fell under the Maratha Empire. He was sure he'd win. Well, Sambhaji sent him packing. The Mughals started by besieging the Maratha castles. Now, here's the thing. They are the Mughals. They're the guys with thick cannons, thick cannonballs, huge artillery. After all, they are considered one of the largest and most powerful Islamic gunpowder empires in the world. Besieging castles, defeating enemies was in their blood. They had conquered huge fortresses of northern India. What are these small hill forts gonna do? Well, say hello to Castle Drum's age. What was supposed to be a simple success turned out to be one of the longest castle sieges in the history of India. For over 6 years, that castle and its 600 soldiers held off over 40,000 Mughals, cutting out wave after wave of enemy attacks. Siege of Ramsey is actually so epic that I think it deserves its episode on its own. All we have to remember is that this single castle proved to be a pain for the Mughal. Imagine how difficult it would be to capture hundreds of those castles that Maratha occupied. By 1683, the Mughals tried their infamous pincer movement. General Shah Alam was given the command of Southern Army, while Azam Shah was to attack from the north. The beginning looked well, no Maratha forces in sight. But soon enough, they realized something was off. Their supply convoys never made it. Their logistics were stretched too thin. Someone would always take out their foraging parties, and soon enough, the gigantic Mughal army became stranded and hungry within enemy territory. Things were becoming so desperate that Aurangzeb himself had to come and save them. I think you can see a pattern here. In 1684, Mughals besieged Raigad, the then Maratha capital. Not only did Raigad withstand the siege, but Hambirao Mohite, the Maratha general, crushed the Mughal forces in battle after battle, forcing them to retreat. By 1685, the Mughals tried another pincer movement only to taste the dust again. By 1686, Aurangzeb had become desperate. His empire was 8 times larger than that of the Maratha kingdom. He had advanced weaponry, gigantic armies, and local allies. But he still couldn't capture a single castle. And then he pulled out a move that was from Game of Thrones. He betrayed his treaties with the local sultanates of Bijapur and Golconda and annexed them as quickly as possible. The Maratha didn't stay idle, launching a fierce offensive in Bharuch and returning with loot and minimal casualties. At the same time, the fall of Bijapur Sultanate brought them many experienced generals who hated the Mughals. Sambhaji Maharaj happily accepted them into their army, but his fates would soon take a dark turn. Sambhaji's grip on his lands were tight, but not on his ministers. There were cases of his ministers covertly plotting against him. It was actually Akbar who helped Maharaj at one time. The plot was foiled, the plotters were executed, and everything went back to the same. Well, at least on paper. You see, certain Maratha nobles, especially those who came after the fall of Bijapur, hated him. It also doesn't help that their holdings were around the regions of Goa, which Sambhaji had ravished back in his day. Needless to say, they wanted a payback. But how? As long as Sambhaji kept winning, no one would be ready to go against him. And that's exactly when Sambhaji's fate turned for the worst. The Battle of Vai was a close Maratha victory, but their general, Hambirao Mohite, had to pay with his life. He was one of the strongest supporters of Sambhaji Maharaj and one of his staunchest allies. His loss was a crushing blow to the Maratha morale, and his death alienated the court against Sambhaji. In 1688, Sambhaji wanted to reverse this. He reached Sangameshwar with his trusted friend Kavi Kalash along with key Maratha commanders. They were going to plan a massive all-out attack on Mughal camp. So daring, so great that it might win the war. Suddenly, enemy soldiers started pouring in from all sides. The defenders rushed to stop them, but they were soon overrun. One of the Maratha chiefs had defected to Aurangzeb, letting him capture Sambhaji Maharaj. The Alamgir demanded that Maharaj submit to the Mughal authority and give up his castles. Sambhaji, ever the rebel, not only refused but one-upped him by insulting Aurangzeb in front of his army. What followed was a tale so harrowing that YouTube will actually demonetize me if I even show it. So, yeah, 40 days of torture, interrogation, and absolute torment. But Sambhaji Maharaj did not relent. He never accepted Mughal suzerainty and he never gave up on his people. In the end, after 40 days of abuse, he was executed. His body was separated and thrown away in a river, where the local man saw him and proceeded with the final rites of his one true king. Aurangzeb was happy. He was at the cusp of achieving his dream to destroy the Maratha kingdom. But oh boy, he was in for a shock. Well, thank you so much for your time, folks. I leave you here today. Be sure to tune in next week as we go over what was in store for Aurangzeb.